Welcome everybody to AstroTalk and Tea, Libra season 2020. Libra season this year started on September 22nd and will run until October 22nd. So yes, I'm about a week late in posting this video. My apologies. That's just 2020 for you. But I'm very excited to be here talking about Libra season, what we can all be doing and focusing on during this time. So I'll start by saying that in my next life, I'm definitely going to come back as a Libra. It's the number one criteria I have for coming back into a body again. I think Libra is just fabulous. And unfortunately, I'm a Virgo. I'm not a Libra this time around, but I am excited to talk about this fun energy. So general characteristics of Libra energy. Libra energy is very connected to the idea of balance. The balance between yin and yang, between opposites. It's very much an energy of finding compromise, finding harmony, of peacefulness. Libras often make excellent negotiators, mediators. They have this uncanny ability to be able to understand and see multiple perspectives on any one issue. So Libras actually are very good at being able to put themselves in someone else's shoes to understand the way that someone else might be thinking or looking at a particular issue. In addition, Libra energy is really connected to ideas of justice and fairness. If you've seen the symbol for Libra, it is a set of scales. We think of those as the scales of justice. And also for that reason too, you'll often see a lot of Libras who get involved in the law in some way, shape, or form. Additionally, though, there's kind of this whole other element to Libra energy, which is all about refinement. It's about aesthetic. Libras often have wonderful taste. They have a good eye for things. They often love color and the different interplay between colors. Libras also love indulgence. They really do. They love to be surrounded by beautiful things and beautiful spaces that make them feel balanced and peaceful and in harmony, all those adjectives we talked about a moment ago. Additionally, Libra, being one of the 3 air signs, is very social. They like to connect and communicate with people, not always on such a deep or emotional level per se, but they really love to be out and about. And Libra energy is very much about partnership. So you'll often see Libras who are have very strong friendships that they're heavily invested in. They may have a life partner. We can even think of partnerships in a business sense or any type of work or what am I thinking? Volunteer activities, etc. Developing partnerships there. What's great about Libra energy is that they really learn about themselves by relating to others. And so that's where we see that element of the other being very important in a Libra's life. In addition, I think it comes back to this idea of finding balance, harmony, learning how to negotiate and come to compromise. That really happens within the context of relating to others and being in partnership. So that's kind of how those different Libra energies tie into one another. And just in general, Libras, it's funny, for as easygoing as they can appear to be and social and all that, they are very strong people. They have a strong will, and so never mistake that about a Libra. But they're charismatic and they're charming and they're fun. Libra energy is great. All energy is great, but I have a particular affinity for this sign. So those are some qualities and characteristics that really shine through when Libra energy is in balance, but we know sometimes astrological signs, their energies can be out of balance. So what that might look like is, sometimes Libras, when they're not standing in their own power, they can get insecure. And when that happens, then they fall into this cycle of people pleasing. So they're so afraid of rocking the boat. They're so afraid of having a confrontation. Disharmony and having a direct confrontation is so far from Libra's style, it's not even funny. So in those instances, sometimes they'll just do whatever needs to be done to placate or appease someone else in a situation. And while there is a gift to that, I think the downside can be that Libra is, A, not standing in their own power, not standing up for themselves, not having strong boundaries, and or potentially not standing up and having a confrontation that's very important in terms of their growth and another person's growth, or in the pursuit of like fairness and justice, etc. And then also, Libras with their excellent taste and their good eye for things, their love of beauty, that can lead them to go a little bit overboard. Libras can definitely be a little self-indulgent. So one thing they need to watch out for is this idea of like, yes, having a fabulous outfit can make you feel great, and having, expensive, nice things in your home can feel really supportive or bring you joy. But, recognizing that while things can provide us some sense of joy, they're ultimately not going to fill the deep longings that we find within ourselves. And so that is one of the lessons sometimes that Libra has to learn throughout their life. But now, even if you don't have strong Libra energy in your personal astrological chart, we're all under the influence of Libra energy at large right now, because the sun is moving through the sign of Libra. It has been for a week already, and it's going to spend another about 3 weeks there until October 22nd. So during this time, it is a great time to connect in partnership. So whether that's friends, whether that's an intimate partner, whether that's a work partnership, the whole idea behind Libra is that we work better when we're together than we do when we're alone. Now the caveat that I will say to that, because of all the other energies going on in 2020, is really focus on those partnerships that fill you up, that make you feel good. If you do happen to be struggling with loved ones right now over different issues, or just spending time with certain people really actually feels draining versus, feeling like it's charging you up, then those are partnerships that you can feel free to kind of put aside for the next few weeks and really just focus in on those that are giving you kind of that positive, uplifting, energetic feeling. So it's a good time to reconnect there. It's a great time to work towards justice, and that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. But, thinking about justice and fairness, how can you be a proactive part of bringing about justice in, your relationships, in your local community, and more largely kind of in a national and or global sense? It's also a great time for seeing new perspectives. And we talked about before that Libra has that gift. It's what makes Libra so indecisive. They can often see all the good things in several different choices, and so then they can never decide which one they want. But, it is a time over the next 3 weeks, not necessarily by engaging with different people, but just maybe, noticing, reading, listening, absorbing, what perspectives are different from your own, and can you see where other people might be coming from, and is there space for, coming to a compromise or an understanding? Now, in certain cases, I know that there is not room, for compromise, but in other situations, there may be a way to discuss, to understand, to really listen and hear instead of just speaking. So I encourage you to kind of open yourself up to additional perspectives during this time. Libra season, of course, is a fabulous time to surround yourself with art, with beauty, with culture. A little bit harder to do this year since many things are not open as they would be in a different year, but I think try to do what you can. So maybe that is you indulge and treat yourself in like an adult coloring book and a new set of colored pencils. Maybe you try to, paint or draw, or you're gonna like learn how to sew something. Maybe you freshen up or update your home living space to make it feel a little bit more, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing. I don't know, is there any type of like concert that's live streaming, live music, either through an app or, of a particular group? Maybe it's making a little update to your wardrobe, some style changes. That can also be really supportive during Libra season. Now, the one thing I will say about that, though, the caveat there is Mercury is going to go retrograde in the middle of the month, about October 14th. It really starts on the 13th. But so if you are going to make a change, as in a new hair color or haircut or buying maybe a more expensive or nicer piece of clothing or jewelry or something to kind of treat yourself, I would try to do it before the middle of the month, maybe in the first 10 days or so of October, because sometimes when Mercury goes retrograde, then like our minds are not really working the way that they normally do, and it's a better time to revisit things than it is to try something totally new during that time. So just have that as a caveat in your mind. Now, if we're thinking about what kind of healing practices can we work with during Libra season, because the energy of 2020 right now is heavy. I've been feeling it. I'm sure most of you watching or listening have been feeling it. Just know that you're absolutely not alone. Everyone is going through it. So, but there are things we can do. We can, I'm really going to encourage you during Libra season to work with the third and fourth chakras, the Manipura, which is the center of our personal power, our will and our desires and our independence. And also the Anahata, the heart chakra, which of course is the seat of unconditional love and acceptance. And so I think it's really important right now during this Libra season that we open, that we tone, that we strengthen these different chakras so that we can work on being in alignment with ourselves, loving ourselves unconditionally, and then being able to share that love and strength out in the world. So a couple ways we can do this, one of which is through movement. So if you are a practitioner of yoga or any other type of movement, we really want to focus on heart opening. So poses that have us kind of extending through our back. So maybe, baby back bend is a great one, cactus arms, anything where you have kind of your arms behind you and you're extending your chest open and forward. We can think of cat and cow pose, any type of back bend. It's also important though to remember to open the back of your heart, because we think of the heart as being located right here, but really kind of the energy of the heart is both in the front and the back of the body. So I think even just giving yourself a hug here, not only does it feel good, but then you are opening that space behind the heart. Rabbit pose in yoga is also a good one for opening that space. So there's a lot of different poses that we can use to get at that. If you're more interested in practicing like a slower, more rejuvenating form of yoga, in restorative yoga, there are also several back bending type poses that are softer and allow for a more energetic versus physical opening. So there's a lot of choices there in terms of movement and physically and energetically opening those spaces. We can also, work with some different meditation and sound. If you go on YouTube and you can type in heart chakra meditation or Manipura meditation, I'm sure there's hundreds of different videos that you can watch and guided meditations you can participate in. I also think it's a great time to chant the seed sounds associated with each of these. So if you're not familiar with what that is, just Google seed, S-E-E-D, sounds for the chakras, and you'll be able to listen to some audios and hear what that sounds like for each one. And because I kind of think when you listen to the sound and you make the sound yourself, you really do feel the energy moving in these centers, and that's really cool. Another thing you can do is work with your favorite Reiki practitioner. They can help to open and move energy. A lot of Reiki practitioners offer remote Reiki, so you don't need to be face-to-face contact to receive that type of healing, which is great for 2020. Additionally, my friend Elizabeth owns a really cool holistic shop in South Denver. It's called Cosmic Tea Holistic Shop, and she actually sells online. She has these bells, and I learned about bells from her, and those are great ways, the sound, kind of the vibrational frequency that the bell makes can help to kind of tune and open and balance the energy in your different chakras. And she actually sells bells that are specific to each one. So if you were interested in something like that, you could purchase that from her website, which is cosmicteaholistic.com. So as I say, lots of different ways to get that energy moving, which I think will be really important during Libra season. Lastly, if you want to work with stones or crystals, looking at unconditional love, being able to love first ourselves and then being able to love in partnership, in relationship, which is what Libra is all about. We could work with stones like pink quartz or jade. If we want to look at third chakra, tiger's eye is a great one. It helps kind of make sure we're not depleting our physical energy so that we can show up fully for ourselves and others. And then malachite is a nice cross between the two chakras, and that one helps to increase personal confidence as well as our ability to follow our heart's desires. So those are some ones that I would suggest for this season. Now, on to the astrology of the season, because I've been talking so long, this is going to be a little bit longer video. But tomorrow, October 1st, is a full moon in the sign of Aries. So if you saw the moon tonight, you probably noticed that it looks pretty darn full. Couple things with this moon I want to point out. Full moons, yes, we know those are about letting go. Full moons are about shining a light on things that may have been hidden. But beyond that, this full moon is making a conjunction with the asteroid Chiron. So this is about shining a light on the places where we are wounded, okay? So since it's happening in Aries, it's this idea of where are we fighting because we feel like we've been hurt? Reflecting on where we feel like our individuality and our right to exist is not being honored. Reflecting on where we feel self-conscious about taking charge of our own lives. And also potentially reflecting on where is it in our life that we're not feeling brave right now. So all those questions are things we can consider with this full moon in Aries. And I forgot to mention also the full moon is at 9 degrees of Aries. So if you know where that is in your chart, make sure to check that out. Look at the house that it falls in. Additionally, Mars is in this ongoing square. We have Mars in Aries, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, 3 planets in Capricorn, and they're making this very tense, very uncomfortable angle. So, Mars in Aries, she's like this warrioress, and she's ready to charge ahead on her self-appointed mission, but she's meeting this restriction, these structured systems and holders of power that are not letting Mars warrioress do her thing. So that creates, like I said, this very tense, it's just this energy where you just want to be I feel so frustrated and angry, but maybe I don't even know exactly what it's about, or maybe it's about everything all at once, that could be an option as well. So, just know that we're all going through this right now. It's not just you. So it's okay to feel the way that you feel. And I think it's important at this time, I had someone give me a friendly reminder, focus on what fills you up, because there is a lot of restriction. There is a lot of anger. There is a lot of feeling like you need to fight to be heard and fight to have your perspective shared and fight for what is important to you. And those things are all true and they matter. And at the same time, don't forget to focus on what is possible, what you can do, because I think that will help to strengthen and energize you to go out and do the work that you're meant to be doing right now. So that's tomorrow, full moon in Aries. Coming up after that, we have Mercury Retrograde, as I talked about earlier. So Mercury retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year. This is not new news. Mercury is going to be retrograding in Scorpio. So it's in Scorpio right now, or maybe just going into, I don't know exactly where it's at right now, but it's going to stop and it's going to move backwards through Scorpio, go into Libra a little bit, and then on November 3rd, it'll start to move forwards again. So what does that mean? Mercury retrograde is an excellent time for reviewing, revisiting, reworking. Basically, it's not a good time for starting brand new things, but rather it's a good time to revisit and wrap up old things that have been left hanging or incomplete, etc. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, though, is very interesting. It has this added element of, this added layer of Scorpio energy. So it's really a good time to rethink what is our truth. Scorpio is definitely connected to truth and like recognizing and facing the truth, even when it's hard and ugly and painful. So how do we recognize that? How do we communicate that? I think Mercury retrograde in Scorpio can be a time of like mental transformation, because we're reassessing, ideas that we've been hearing and thinking about, and now we're just finally getting that stuff like into our schema. It's also an excellent time for shadow work. This is the time, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, to really take a look at what are the skeletons in your closet? What are the deep, dark parts of yourself that you don't want to show the world, that you don't even want to admit to yourself? Okay, we all have those parts, and they're just as part of us as the light, happy, good, beneficial sides. So during this time, October 13th till November 3rd, that's a really good time for each of us to be like peeking inside, like, okay, what's deep down in here that I've been denying or stuffing down or, not accepting, not acknowledging. It's a good time to look at all that. On a bigger scale outside of ourselves, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio is very much about, as I said, skeletons in the closet. So it can be about, we hear about the shadow side coming out from other people, not just ourselves. Something we hear about power and manipulation of power, abuse of power. We start to recognize where that is happening. So I'll be interested to see how those couple weeks unfold. And it really does not seem like a coincidence that this is happening right before the election in the United States. Literally, Mercury will be stationed to go direct on November 3rd, the day of the election. But I'll talk about that in my next video, because that'll be in Scorpio season, not Libra season, and I need to stay on topic here. So looking out for Mercury retrograde again, which will start on October 13th. Lastly, in this Libra season, we have a new moon in the sign of Libra, which is going to happen at 23 degrees of Libra, and that's going to happen on October 16th. So Libra's new moons in Libra are a great time for setting new intentions, specifically around those Libra themes that we've talked about. Intentions for justice, for fairness, setting intentions about how we want to bring more beauty into our lives, setting intentions about how we can find more harmony and balance for ourselves, how we can love ourselves, be in partnership with ourselves. All of those would be great themes to set intentions around. And I think especially so, Venus is going to be trining Jupiter that day. And Venus trine Jupiter is a beautiful, lovely, very benefic aspect. So it could also definitely be a great day about setting intentions for love and partnership. Dream big there. Anytime Jupiter is involved, it's a time to do it big. My suggestion here would be, if you're thinking about specifically partnership, don't focus on what you don't want, okay? A lot of times as we have different experiences and those experiences end, we're like, oh yeah, I didn't want that, didn't want that, didn't want that. Focus instead on what do you want. Set only positive intentions in terms of partnership and what you might want to draw in, whether it's business partnership, intimate partnership, friendship, etc. Don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. And the last thing I want to share is that this new moon in Libra on October 16th, it is a very also tense time. I hate to say it, but it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. From my perspective, things are not getting better in the next month. So we just have to learn how to work with the energy. So we have a giant, what they call a T-square, which sounds fancy. It's not that fancy. So I talked about before, we have these planets in Capricorn, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto. And then we have Mars, which is squaring them. And then we have the new moon in Libra, which will be opposing. So it makes a T shape. So the top of the T and the bottom of the T. And that's just a lot of energy coming at us. So I wrote here, honestly, it's going to feel like we're being squeezed through a vagina, through a birth canal. I really, truly feel that is the most appropriate analogy I could share about this energy. But when you feel that tension, that tightness, that inner like, oh, I just want to scream. I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated. I'm so X, Y, or Z. The way out of this T-square is by leaning into Cancer energy. Okay, and what is Cancer energy? That is the energy of the mother archetype, the nurturer, taking care of ourselves, of one another, deeply loving and supporting. So start with yourself, love, mother, nurture, care for yourself, and then you'll be able to do it for your close people, and then you'll be able to do it for people in your community, and then you'll be able to go global with that. But it starts with us. If we don't have that for ourselves, there's no way we can get that ripple effect of love and care and nurturance for anybody else if we don't start with us. Okay, so feel your emotions at this new moon. Let them all come up and out on around October 16th. That whole week, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, it's going to be intense. Spend time near water, whatever kind of water you can get, even if that's just your shower or your bathtub. Spend time there. That will help kind of release some of the emotion from you. And then focus on your home. Make sure your home space not only feels beautiful, Libra energy, but with this Cancer energy, make sure your home space feels comfy, cozy, nurturing, supportive. Make sure that the food you're eating nurtures your body. Make sure that you're sleeping enough, you know, all those kinds of things, which we already know, but sometimes we need a little reminder about. So anywho, that was like the longest video I've ever made. Libra season 2020, jam-packed, a lot going on. We have the full moon in Aries, 9 degrees of Aries tomorrow, October 1st. We have Mercury going retrograde on October 13th. We have a new moon in Libra at 23 degrees of Libra. Yes, 23 degrees on October 16th. So a lot coming up. Hang in there. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me, kelsey@theastroyogi.com, or you can find me on Instagram, _astro_yogi. So thanks for watching AstroTalk and Tea. Have a great one.